Hello and welcome to Newsnight, the place to come for the latest stories where you are, as soon as they become available. From the prices of petrol to the world of UK film, we've got it all over here at Newsnight. First up on the agenda tonight, we'll be covering three-person parenting and if it's accepted or not since given the all clear. We hand you over to Sean with this breaking news headline.
Hello, my name is Sean Daly. I'm here to interview you, Andy Glue. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine.
Okay. I've got a simple question for you. Do you think they should change the name of the three-person babies? As it seems to give everyone the negative feedback of three parents instead.
Yeah, totally. I think it's just the press have taken hold of it as a three-parent scenario. Clearly it's not. Basically, just taking some material from a third party doesn't warrant it becoming a parent. So extremely naughty of the press to take it that way. It's a little bit scaremongery, but that's clearly that's how the press make headlines. So yeah.
If you have any knowledge, how could the procedure affect the babies it's on?
If I had any knowledge
on the procedure on the three-person babies, how could it affect the babies?
To be honest with you, any form of donation has an effect on the child, but if the child is made fully aware of their, how they're brought into this world, whether you're a sperm donor, brought into this world as an egg donor, sperm donor, or in this scenario where potentially you are using some material, potentially genetic, from a third party, then I think if you're well informed into that process and, from an early stage, I think most people would come to terms with that very easily, as long as it's healthy. And of course, there's been enough research to suggest that there is nothing that really is very worrying about this process. But like all processes, this will be watched very carefully, monitored, and of course, we're very heavily regulated in the UK. My view is, I think that we're very lucky in the UK with this kind of science. We're leading the way in allowing some things to happen. This was in the US or anywhere else, it would have been blocked. So I think it's interesting that the UK has actually opened its doors to this kind of research.
I actually tended to one of my other questions, but I shall ask it in a second if that's okay. Do you believe the third party has any right to be the parent?
No.
Okay. Would this procedure actually help avoid diseases in the young babies?
Could it help?
Yes, as the procedure is meant to eliminate genetic diseases passed down from mother to child or father to child.
Potentially, the idea is that it potentially could, certainly refresh the egg cell, if you like, and give it much more, what's the word here? At the end of the day, the reason you're doing it is because the genetic material is potentially... Actually, I'm going to stop that. Can you just stop for a minute?
Okay, then. May I start with my next question? Mm-hmm. Okay, why do you believe the counter-arguments to this are, for instance, making designer babies? As people seem to have taken the whole genetic level of modifying a baby, they seem to believe it's kind of making a designer baby, as modifying it the way they want.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, at the end of the day, all we're doing is taking the mitochondrial DNA from a healthy egg and putting it into an unhealthy egg, okay? An egg that is potentially not going to do so very well. So these are patients that have probably been through multiple failed attempts, not producing good quality embryos, and so there are some benefits of actually using a third party to rejuvenate, if you like, the quality of that egg. Does that really change how things happen? No, because you're not going to go around selecting, a completely disease-free donor. That's not possible. Well, it is possible to some degree, but not something that we would be looking to do. At the end of the day, you're just taking the mitochondrial DNA from a younger person.
So it would not affect the colour of the skin or traditional limits that children have?
Not at all.
So you wouldn't be... Okay, then. My next question would be, could a procedure which is meant to actually help remove genetic diseases affect a child's immunity system?
beyond me. I wouldn't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as I said, one of your previous answers actually answered to this one. Would this procedure be a sort of a doorway to open other procedures similar to this one?
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, at the end of the day, HFEA have agreed, have now allowed this. The Act has been opened to allow this to occur. It means that the minds of the politicians have been open to this kind of changes in how we regulate research. It's interesting, yeah. I mean, already we can look at the gene profile of all embryos. Are we likely to make major changes so that there's, you know, improvement in making disease-free embryos, or even just the basics of sex selection? I don't think so.
Okay then. My next question is, what could go wrong during the procedure?
Well, technically, lots of things can go wrong because it's like any of the procedures we do in the laboratory. It's quite invasive. It's, as I said to you earlier on, it's a technique actually that's been around for a long, long time. I remember 20 years ago when I started my career in IVF, I worked with sheep and we were doing this in a laboratory 25 years ago.
Yes, and there's only actually ever been one child in the US who's actually from the three-person
That's
baby
right, because
program.
obviously in putting this out into the human, this is a bit scary. It's very different to doing it in cattle and sheep, and but of course. Is it dangerous? It's a technique that involves very technical ability for the scientists to remove the DNA from one cell and inject it into the cell of another. Technically, it's a very difficult thing to do, and yes, you can damage the egg, so it can be.
And the procedure hasn't been perfected yet.
As far as
it's not open to the public yet, it
still
needs more testing.
The actual process, that's right, yeah. I mean, obviously it's been tested in the animal world, but in the human being, it's probably not so much so.
Okay, another one is, could the cells reject each other?
Again, that isn't my level of expertise, so I wouldn't actually know that, but I would say possibly not. No, at that level, I would say no.
Okay, last question.
It's not so much the cells, it's just the content of the cells. It's the DNA that's been put into the system, and at the end of the day, the DNA looks after itself, and it is really a regulator. It decides what's going to happen to that cell. So it takes, to some degree, a level of control. So.
Okay then. My last question is, what's the result wanted from the procedure?
I think at the end. Yeah, what it basically is meaning is that we can overcome, for those patients where they're having repeated failed attempts, probably down to poor egg quality, we're able to rejuvenate those eggs and make them healthier, younger, and gives the patient a much more improved chance of achieving the pregnancy that they need.
Okay then, that will be all my questions. Thank you for the interview.
Is that right?
Well, an interesting range of views there gathered from Sean. That's one question to keep people thinking, but here is another. Are the petrol prices here to stay, or is this just a low price spell? Our reporter Max has the latest.
Hello, I'm Max, calling live from Chelsea today. I'm here at Esso, located down Princess Road. We're here to talk about the plummeting prices in petrol and if they're actually here to stay. We've actually asked a few members of the public to see what their opinion is and if they are benefiting from this. Do you think the prices are here to stay, or do you think they're going to start increasing again soon?
You just know as soon as they go down, they're just going to shoot back up again. It's one of them things. It's the same as anything, the government control it. So
yeah.
I think they'll start going up again. I think demand. I think the prices will stay quite low with the economy getting better in this country now. I reckon they'll stay quite low actually.
But I have a feeling they won't. I have a feeling they'll go back to how they were. But I hope they do stay, because obviously.
What makes you think they're actually going to go back up?
I don't know. I mean, already I can see them starting to creep up a little bit, and I'm just thinking, right, they're not going to stay there, are they? They're going to go. But I don't know. I mean, there's nothing, we can't be certain because they never really make up their mind.
So obviously, like you said, you've seen them slowly creep back up. Do you think you might start slowly seeing them creep back down, or?
I really hope so. I mean, I think it's all still to do with competitors. If one goes down, the other goes down. So it's all to do with what kind of choices each petrol station makes, I think.
Despite the recent upturn, the price in petrol has almost slumped by 50%. With the US fuel company Shell and Libyan oil returning to the market, it had now increased resupply. With the US dollar making oil more expensive, which is pushing the demand even lower, which actually creates the perfect recipe for plummeting oil prices. What happened next is harder to predict due to shale only on the rise to economical circumstances. We can at least say that the prices are here for a little longer. We tried speaking to one of the fuel correspondents, but they were unwilling to comment any further information at this moment in time. But we have managed to speak to a local representative whom commented that the low prices may be here for some time, but they are almost certain to increase with the unstable economy at this moment in time.
Now we move on to the next headline of tonight's biggest stories. And by that we mean all things V-Fest. Yes, that's right. It's that time of year once again where many of not just the UK's but the whole world's most talented musical artists come together at Highlands Park for the all-famous Virgin Media Festival. Pete, our Chelmsford correspondent, has the latest.
I'm here at Highlands Park and the surrounding area to find out why people keep going back to V-Festival.
Yes, for the whole experience. The whole experience of it looks great. I mean, it's pretty local to where I live, so you haven't got to travel far. The whole camping experience.
It's kind of like a trend. Like, obviously, you hear about people going and then you want to go yourself, like, to experience it.
It's the Virgin Festival. Everybody knows Virgin Media. It's very well advertised, well established.
I have been to V-Festival, yes. I went to the 1997, 98, 99 and I think the 2000. Well, the first festivals I thought were really brilliant. I saw some really good bands there. Foo Fighters were really excellent. Muse were good. I also saw Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they were utterly brilliant. So yeah, I mean the bands have been fantastic. I don't think they're as good these days, but then, you know, tastes change, don't they? So I guess different crowds go. It's become quite a fashionable thing, isn't it, to go to the festivals? It's a very, very different thing to when I was younger, when I used to go to festivals. It was very much everybody kind of, well, it's much more sort of flower power type thing, you know, and everybody kind of loving each other and having an experience. And I think today it's far more commercial. It's all about big money, huge ticket prices, lots of rubbish everywhere. You know, I mean, that is one of the features of V particularly. And afterwards, after the festival, just, you know, a sea of abandoned tents. It kind of like doesn't work for me. It speaks of consumerism gone mad, and that's not what festivals were all about. Originally it was about rejecting that kind of world and that kind of philosophy, but it just seems to be a complete reverse now. So. I was involved in was obviously a far smaller one. It was much more of a folky, there was a bit of rock as well, and an arts festival. And it was run at Rain Trade Station, which is an abandoned railway station, and it has a little cafe there. So it was very much a small scale, 500 people or so thing. But it was very enjoyable, very proud to be a part of it.
It's clear what views people have on V-Festival and why they go back year after year. Don't forget the festival is on the weekend of the 22nd of August. I've been Peter Bowditch, back to the studio.
Well, am I looking forward to getting my V-Festival ticket this year? Watching that has made me wish it was now. More from that story as it draws nearer. Now we bring you a News Night exclusive. The word is film. Also referred to as movies. They are produced from all corners of the globe, but tonight we focus on Britain's independent movement within the world of modern film. This News Night exclusive is brought to you by our movie man John Allen.
2 words. British film. I'm on a mission today, and that mission is to find out how widely known British film actually is. Not many people have done research into this topic, but that's exactly what I'm hoping to do today. I'll be going out and doing a public survey to find out how many people are actually familiar with British film compared to that of American films and other foreign films. So let's go and find out what they think. Excuse me, mate. Can I ask you a few questions about British independent film, please?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Basically, I was just wondering, do you like movies?
Yeah. I do like movies, yes.
Yes, I do.
Nice bit of nice movie time here and there, yeah?
It's chill.
Cool. Do you watch a lot of them?
Maybe like 1 or 2 a week, maybe. Say, not as much as some people, but I do watch some films.
What, just like a few occasionally, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a time when I was going to the cinema once a week, but I don't really go that often these days.
Okay. So the amount of films that you watch now generally has decreased?
Yes, I mean I still watch them on television, but going to the actual cinema is a lot less.
What would you say your favourite movie genre is?
I know, between action and comedy, I'd say.
Probably sci-fi.
Probably like the history ones.
Oh, so like a mix of maybe a serious and a comedy theme mixed together, so you've got a bit of both in there.
Yeah, you can tell that it's trying to be serious, but at the same time you can sort of see that it's trying to take the mickey out of itself.
Yeah.
Like historical ones.
Yeah, so like a war film, but like a modern war film, not like the ones that were made around the time.
Oh right, so like a film that can relate to modern event.
Yeah, that sort of film.
What is your favourite movie?
Favourite movie is... My favourite movie, completely different, but Pearl Harbor. I love Pearl Harbor.
There's a lot.
Well, one of my favourite movies is American Beauty, actually. I do like that film.
Probably Top Gun.
Top Gun, yeah.
Not sci-fi, but I don't know, there's just something about I've always...
Top Gun is an old classic.
it.
Go on, name some.
There's a lot.
Go on.
Alright. Major fan of the Hobbit trilogy.
I don't have a favourite movie, I have different movies. I'll think of one movie and I'll like it for one reason, then I'll like another movie for another reason.
Right.
So one movie that I kind of liked recently was the film Fight Club. Maybe because the atmosphere and I guess sort of the way it was cut and put together, you kind of always felt that you knew where the story was going, and in that last minute sort of...
As you can see, I collected a varied amount of opinions when I went out there earlier, but the main thing I want to find out is how many of the films that people watch are actually British. So let's go find out. Out of the films that you watch, how many of them would you say are actually British? Like in comparison to their foreign counterparts, you know?
Right. I'd probably say it's under half of the films I watch probably British.
I'm not really sure. Say half and half.
Do you know what? The only British movies I watch are probably like the comedy ones, like the really girly ones, like like Wild Child and Angus Fong's.
Oh, that's probably quick guess 10%. I mean,
only 10%. That's
yeah.
it's quite a low
yeah.
Quite low overall, isn't it?
Yeah. That's not a reflection on my taste particularly. It's just the fact that most films are produced by Hollywood.
Oh right, okay.
10-15% of the films I watch.
Really, that's quite low, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not many big.
Why would you say that is? Do you think? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but just started. Why do you think compared? Because you're saying that say 15%, that means that the other 85 is foreign.
Mm.
So why do you think it's so low? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It's Hollywood. It's like it's become that just like a norm of
where films come from. Yeah.
Like that's where you expect it. Like all films you watch, you normally expect like some American accent in there, and then you come to British film. I don't know. It's like a kind of lower standard. It feels like that.
Well, after asking that one, it just goes to show how little acknowledgement British film actually does get compared to that of American blockbusters and films made in Hollywood and all that, doesn't it? But luckily, I managed to bump into filmmaker Dan Kutsavakis, so let's see what he thinks on the whole thing.
Oh right, okay. So would you say that if British films were publicised better, more widely known, then you'd probably make more of an effort to watch them?
I think so, because I know everyone's different, everyone's got a different opinion, but I like British films. Everything I've seen I've really liked.
Yeah.
However, I think I'm not the kind of person who's going to look intently to try and find a film to watch. I'm going to watch a film if someone recommends it to me.
Yeah.
Or if I see it on the internet. Sometimes you just get trailers in your face and you just sit there watching them, or it's got good ratings on IMDb. I have to come across it, and that's what kind of person I am.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. But if I don't come across a film, if I don't hear about it, I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that these companies are not advertising. They probably are very much, but I haven't seen a lot of advertising.
Right.
So I think it's just to do with promotional purposes, because if you see the quality of the British films are just as good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. And last of all, do you think it is important for Britain to have a large influence in the modern world of film? Kind of brings on from what you was just saying there, actually.
Yeah, I think it's just as important. I think.
Yeah.
Because as I said, British films are very good, the majority of them. I think they do deserve much better promotion, much better advertisement.
Yeah.
However, it's just that brings them back a little bit. But I think that they could, because if you look at the majority of films today, the majority of them are American.
Yeah.
They all come from the same place, same directors, same actors, same place. Sorry. But they all come from it's almost like it's the same source producing this. They all come off the same conveyor belt, you know, which might not necessarily be just. It might not necessarily be fair. But I think British films should be watched just as American films are, just as much.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said, mate.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, it's good to actually see there are people out there with an appreciation for British film. That was Dan Kutsavakis from Screenwrite Films talking to me there earlier. Now, with what he thinks, now we need to ask the general public the same question. Do you think it is important for Britain to have a large influence in the modern world of film?
Yeah, I think Britain should be in film, but I think
we have a unique style as well, which I think makes for variety. And
yeah, like our own sort of taste,
Yeah.
our own mark in the film world. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like, you see us coming through college, some of us going to university. Obviously, maybe a few of us will go to America, film over there at Hollywood, but most of us will probably stay in Britain and film here.
So we need a strong filming community for our own benefit.
Yeah.
they need some kind of like, not Hollywood sort of thing, but like, we need our own place like that.
I remember many years back, you always, people from around the world have come to England to start off in their careers, and now it seems that nowadays America seems to be the place to go. You've got Hollywood, you know, you can get all, you know, everyone wants to have their name and a little star, don't they, you know, on the street. But nowadays you don't get any of that, do you? England sort of becomes sort of nothing in the sense of having our own film industry. Everyone seems to be, as I said, going over to America trying to make it big out there. I think that's just my point of view.
We need some more British movies out in the cinema and not just go straight from DVD.
More promotion, more
promotion.
More theatrical releases,
Yeah, no, it'll only be it'll be previewing in 5 cinemas in England.
Yeah.
Whereas we need it not worldwide.
Like more mass viewing,
Yeah.
Well, that final question pretty much wraps up my investigation on British independent film. All I can say is it's good to see, even though British film isn't as widely seen as American film, it's still appreciated, you know. People still would like to see British film, and I believe the way that people can stay in touch with British film is if it is better advertised. If it's better advertised, people are going to see it more. And that's my personal opinion on the matter. And that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you've enjoyed this Newsnight exclusive film special. And back to the studio with you guys. I'm going to watch a British film now. Cheers.
An interesting subject brought to light there by John. More from that story in the near future, we hope. We wrap up tonight's big hitters with the latest from our sports department. Jack brings us the fresh info on one of the most talked about sports in the UK at the moment. And that is, of course, the rising popularity of NFL.
No.
I have.
No.
No. No, I haven't.
No.
Maybe. Yeah, why not? I'll keep my options open.
Well, that's it from us here at Newsnight. Tune in same time tomorrow, more of the newest and most up-to-date stories. Thank you for watching, and good night.